how misunderstanding happens and what to do about it. You said it clearly, so why didn't they get it? We like to believe that when we speak clearly, people will understand us. That if we choose the right words, say them at the right time, and keep a calm tone, our message will land exactly the way we intended. But communication is rarely that precise. And the truth is, most of the time, we're not really hearing each other. We're hearing ourselves through someone else's voice. And oddly enough, I started to see that more clearly while holding a pencil. I've been drawing since I was about 5 years old. It started with cars. Not just any cars, but the sleekest, fastest sports cars my young imagination could dream up. And of course, in my eyes, they looked even better than the ones in the magazines. Later, I became obsessed with the greats. At some point, I even set myself a goal to become better than Leonardo da Vinci. That dream lasted a while, until I finally let it go last year. Well, at least I can laugh about it now. But I never stopped drawing. Because there is something endlessly fascinating about truly seeing something, or someone, and then trying to capture it, to observe in full detail, to notice what's actually there, not what you assume is there. And that, right there, is where things get interesting. Because here's the part that surprised me most. Anyone can learn to draw. There have been numerous experiments with people who believed they couldn't draw, and at first they were right. Their attempts were stiff, inaccurate, awkward. But something changed when they were guided to shift how they looked. Not what they saw, but how they saw it. See, most people, when they try to draw, aren't actually drawing what they see. They're drawing what they think they see. They're drawing their mental image of a nose, an eye, a face, not the actual shapes, shadows, and lines in front of them. But when you learn to switch off the part of the brain that labels things, the side that says eye, mouth, car, something opens up. You stop interpreting, you start observing, and suddenly your drawing improves. Not because your hands got better, but because your perception shifted. And here's where it gets really fascinating. Communication works exactly the same way. We think we're listening. We think we're understanding what someone says. But more often than not, we're not hearing their actual words. We're hearing what we think they mean. We're translating their words into our own mental images, our own assumptions, our own familiar categories. And that's where things go sideways. Not because people lie, but because we interpret. We draw the person, the sentence, the meaning. Not as it truly is, but as it appears inside our own mind. Let me give you a simple example. One you can actually feel as you hear it. Imagine I say, in a calm, soft, gentle, almost caring way, the words, "I don't really like this." There's no sharpness in my voice, no judgment, just a quiet discomfort, expressed softly with a bit of care. It doesn't feel like a complaint. It feels more like honesty, the kind that wants to stay in connection. Now imagine I say, in a much more firm, sharper, more clipped tone, the exact same words, "I don't really like this," and suddenly it lands differently. The same sentence now sounds like a rejection, like resistance, maybe even irritation, depending on what you're already feeling. And yet, the words haven't changed, not a single one. The only thing that changed was how I said them, and that's exactly the point. In most conversations, we respond not to the sentence itself, but to the tone, and to the story we attach to that tone. We think we're hearing what someone means, but often, what we're really hearing is what we expect, what we fear, or what we've heard before. So what you say, or what you hear, is rarely what the other person actually understands. And that gap becomes especially important when it comes to feedback. You might say something like, "I don't really like this." And the other person might hear, "Oh, okay, not ideal, but not a big deal either." But if you say, "This is unacceptable," they might interpret it in a completely different way. One person hears, "This is a clear boundary," while the other thinks, "That's a bit dramatic," or "Why are you making this so serious?" The intention behind your words, no matter how clear they feel to you, will always be filtered through someone else's mood, history, expectations, and assumptions. And that means we don't just speak in words. We speak through tone, timing, and perception. And if you're not aware of that, even the most well-meaning message can completely miss the mark. And here's the thing. Most people who struggle with giving feedback don't even realize that they're not being understood. They walk away confused, even frustrated, saying things like, "But I clearly set my boundaries, didn't I?" And the truth is, no, you didn't. You gave someone words that meant something to you, and then you assumed the other person would hear them exactly as you meant them, that they translate, not interpret. But that's not how it works, because the truth is, you do it too. All day long, you interpret, you fill in the blanks, you hear a sentence and immediately attach a story to it, a tone, an intention. And once you do that, the original meaning is already gone. Now maybe you think you're good at this. Maybe you believe you've developed a sharp intuition, that you're great at reading between the lines. So here's a small test. If I say, "You're an extremely good listener," what exactly am I saying? And what do I really mean by that? Take a second. Don't rush to answer. Let the sentence hang there for a moment, because whatever answer just came to mind, whatever you think I meant, you still can't be completely sure. And that right there is the point. So, what's the solution? Begin with something simple and grounded. Instead of assuming your words were understood the way you intended, ask the other person what they actually heard. Not what you meant to say, but what they believe you said. Ask them calmly and with genuine interest. "Can you tell me what you understood from what I just shared?" Or, "How did that come across to you?" Or even, "What felt clear and what didn't?" At first, this might feel unnecessary or awkward, especially if you were convinced that your message was already crystal clear. But here's the truth. Clarity isn't defined by what leaves your mouth. It's defined by what reaches the other person's mind, and whether the meaning you sent is the meaning they received. This isn't a perfect fix, of course. People can still misunderstand, and emotions can still cloud the moment. But it's a different posture. It shows that you're not just speaking to speak, you're speaking to connect, and that subtle shift creates space. The more often you pause to check, to listen, to clarify, the more you'll realize how rare it is that we truly hear and understand one another, and how powerful it becomes when we finally do. Because communication, at its core, isn't about proving a point. It's about closing the gap between what's said and what's felt. It's about choosing curiosity over assumption. And most of all, it's about staying open long enough for real understanding to land. And maybe the next time someone misunderstands you, or you misunderstand them, you'll remember that it's not always about who's right. Sometimes it's just about checking if you're still speaking the same language.